I hope that TLR has something special planned for this map, because this is a map where if you can't win a brawl against the enemy team, you're not.
Yeah, this was PSISTORM's map pick as well. So it's going to be precarious, I would say. I'd love to see something a little bit spicy like a Kerrigan. I do want to take one quick second to diverge from our discussion, say big thanks to Choo Choo Train, 16 months in a row sub to HeroesHype. We absolutely love you. We love your support. Thank you so much for supporting us, guys. We really appreciate it. Helps us put on all of these Open Division casts, and also HeroesHype putting on a lot of streamer type events. We got one coming up this week, so we really do appreciate it. Everyone's in the draft here. I think we're going to be getting going like straight away. Is this the fastest night of Open Division ever? As Feer says that, and then 3-2-3s commence immediately.
It's been clean. Shout out to the production staff, the observer, the people running the stream. We're just sitting here talking about the game, which is really fun and not really difficult once you get a little bit of practice at it. Maybe get over the stage fright of being on stream, which everyone gets when they first start casting. But the fact that we don't even we literally hands off the keyboard. Like we set our camera to the observer. We literally do not have to do anything but watching the game.
I've been setting up for Nexus Gaming Series. I'm going to be starting to do a little bit of Nexus Gaming Series. And whenever I'm doing anything, I'm like, this is so much work. HeroesHype makes it so easy. They just cater to me. I got to say, a little pre-shout out. I was going to give him a shout out at the end of today anyway. Vivans on production has been doing a stellar job tonight. He always does a stellar job. He's handsome to boot. We've just been chugging right along all night here. We're going to get into Game 2 between TLR and PSISTORM, and can TLR stop this aggro train?
Again, they need something special. And the hero, there's one hero in the game that straight up shuts down this type of aggressive play better than any other hero, and it's Medivh. And we've already seen them play it tonight, and they played it reasonably well. It's something they need to consider. It is a good hero on Shrines. There's lots of combos that can be enabled by Medivh. You can have Poly with Taunt from Garrosh. You can have Leyline APOC from Diablo. There's all sorts of cool things you can do with it. So it not only gives you the Wombo potential, which is a great way to deal with this style of play, but it also gives you the denial tool in the portals and the Force of Will. So hopefully they're thinking about that, or hopefully they have something specific prepared for this map where they're like, when we go up against a team that we're having a hard time with, we practice this. This is the confident in where this is what we're.
Yeah, I would like to see similarly defensive picks coming out, but a big combination that comes to mind is the Medivh Diablo. That was sort of pioneered last mid-season brawl 2 years ago in 2017. And now we see neither of those heroes banned. I do expect to see a high priority on the Diablo out of PSISTORM, and a Genji first pick coming out of TLR. So a little bit of a different approach, maybe a little counter aggression.
So we talked about it in game 1 or set 1 and set 2, because it does consistently get banned. Diablo. Diablo very good in Genji. Point and click anything is good in Genji. It's sort of the counter to mobility. You can counterplay it a little bit easier on lower ping to counterplay these point and click abilities, because you can see them coming. But Diablo Alex Straza picked up. That is such a good pairing of heroes for Shrines in particular. The Dragon is essentially a heroic pre-10. It's something that always gives you a huge advantage getting onto the Shrine itself. But my problem with Genji is, we talked about Genji, he's a hero that the entire team play around in order for him to be countered. It's not just you can pick a hero and he's not good anymore. The entire team needs to move around the map in a certain way. But one of the ways you do that is having a tank who's really good at control vision. And they have stronger. So I don't know how impactful Genji's going to be being. Johanna Karazim picked up, though, for TLR.
Johanna Karazim, again, the aggression coming in. 7-sided is very strong against both of these heroes that have been picked up already. Whether or not that will absolutely be the pick remains to be seen. I do like the Palm with some more standard aggressive heroes, Greymane. Genji usually isn't a Palm target. We'll see. Malthael ban coming out. So trying to negate a 7-sided Last Rites combination maybe there?
I think that's part of it. It also is one of the few heroes that has a heal reduction ability, which is something that Alexstrasza can be very vulnerable to. Which is one of the reasons that in professional play we see Deckard with Emerald into her so often. And if this were a different team that went out earlier tonight, maybe we'll see an Anna. That's a Trogal ban.
That's a like, hey, we're here, you're here, we're just not messing with that.
Oh, wow. I think actually this is Trogal's best map in ways, and certainly a strong bruiser like Diablo and Alexstrasza, and then you pick Trogal, and then you have an off lane, and you're in really good shape. Trogal also takes up both your flex spots in the draft, but instead they immediately lock in the Greymane Phoenix, so taking 2 survivable and scary damage dealers.
I think in the very last game of Heroes of the Storm I played yesterday, I played against a Cho'Gall Alexstrasza with the new Life Finder, and it felt so bad. That the Cho'Gall would get so low, and then just like a 4,000 heal or some absurd amounts of heals. KT Sonya. So Genji, Karazim, Sonya, very divey, very burst oriented. Kael'thas very burst oriented, looking to be on the backline, but I fear for Kael'thas into Diablo Greymane Phoenix.
And they pick up the global for the Hawkeyes. I fear that to Hawkeye. There's so many bushes on Infernal Shrine. Burrow into the backline, flank the Kael'thas, and potentially you just prevent him from falling into the fights. We're gonna see some cool things, I think, with Flame Strikes onto the Alexstrasza Ws. They're roughly the same size. So if you time it right, it's going to be a situation where you want the heal, you take the damage. That's how this is going to work. It's an offer you can't refute, if you know what I'm saying. So hopefully there is some safety in the way they place those Ws, and they don't place them in vision range, so the Kael'thas is free to step up and do that consistently.
Yeah, and it's funny because we've seen 2 Annas tonight, but we haven't seen Anna into Alexstrasza, which tends to be one of the simplest counters there. I'm excited to see this Dahaka play coming out of Hiskoa. First Dahaka for us of the night. As an offlane boy, love to watch Dahaka sort of control the map. And I gotta say, I like the aggression coming out of TLR, but I've got to give this one over to PSISTORM. I'm very convinced by their last performance. They look like they're on the ball tonight, and this draft just looks phenomenal for this map. All right, let's get right into it on game 2 here on Infernal Shrines. On the left side, again, we have TLR. Fats coming in on Johanna. Suryu playing the Monk Karazim, plus Ultra on Sonya. Jeb Taco Beatos playing Genji, and Free PX coming in on Kael'thas.
And on the right-hand side of the map, we have our Filipino guest stars that are staying in North America for the moment. PSISTORM Gaming, NSJ on Phoenix, Stronger on Straza, Enever on Greymane, and Hisoka on Dahaka. And I already love this level 1 Dahaka, or excuse me, Diablo pick. We are going to see Soul Shield be the pickup. If you dive in as Diablo, Lightning Breath a bunch of people, hit your Soul Shield before it goes off, it will almost be back up if you hit enough people with Lightning Breath, because it's per tick of damage done to an enemy hero. And in the meanwhile, you are unkillable during your Lightning Breath. There's no, oh, maybe we can kill it. No, you either back off from Lightning Breath or you die. Those are your options. You can't kill the Diablo.
That is every time he deals damage. That is kind of wild.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's difficult to deal with, to say the least. Surprised to see Hold Your Ground out of level 1 for here with the recent buff. It's very difficult for any support to keep you sustained up from poke damage. You kind of need Laws as your own self-sustain unless you have an Alexstrasza who has a percent-based heal, and Karazim's certainly not in the high sustain category. This does make you less vulnerable to CC chains, which is something they're obviously worried about after the last game. And this, again, aggressive interfering with rotation. But keep an eye on Johanna's health pool in fights as they go on throughout this game. She's going to be consistently low, and a consistently low anyone is nothing more than a juicy target at this level.
Yeah, that's going to be very difficult to deal with Phoenix and Greymane in that aspect, especially on Johanna. Once you use your Iron Skin, I mean, the thing about Johanna is you always have that Iron Skin in your back pocket. You move in, you know you have your Iron Skin. But if you're being poked and you're forced to use your Iron Skin in a defensive manner early, you are down and out for the fight. Plus Ultra taking a little bit of damage. Actually on the wrong side of the creeps here. Is Stoa getting a beautiful tongue. And the gank coming out for first blood. And the rotation down onto the camp. Suryu and Jeff Dagobito got a little bit up, and this is now going to turn into a 4v4. Enemy are taking too much damage, and Greymane falling super early. Bats is low, as is Suryu with the tongue coming out from his Koa. Elheim trying to hold the point here, but Johanna is on the back line. There's tons of damage going out on either side. Alex Rosa actually falling to KT despite him being out of mana, and it looks like PSISTORM's going to back up an equalizing fight for TLR.
It was such an interesting dynamic because you had NSJ top. He was helping gank that Sonya. And then, yes, you had the Burrow bottom, but that still was... And the initial trade of cooldowns was so favorable for TLR. Sammy gets overpowered over the wall. He has no dash charges. He will have one momentarily. So nothing ends up happening with that. But really risky to siege into a Diablo like that with no mobility tools available. That could have gone much worse than it did.
I think that was the first move I ever learned in Heroes of the Storm. Was I played Diablo, I just kind of stand at the wall and wait, and I would just wait at level 1 for the enemy to push right up, and then I'd just slam them over. Free kill. That is some 101 stuff, but Karazim was alright. Karazim understands he can just dash out. He actually just walked right out because the wave was on the wall. A nice flip and wall slam onto Bats. Now the Iron Skin is down. Bats is going to be in a bit of trouble. Enevir has the fire on spreading it around to NSJ. NSJ taking a ton of damage. The warp actually negating the debuff, allowing him to live. Stronger is going to have to back out slowly as well. Plus Ultra dishes out a ton of damage on the front line. That is exactly what you're talking about with the Flame Strike onto the Alexstrasza ability there.
Yeah, they're going to need to be much more careful with the way they place that. They can't use it aggressively in fights. Oh wow, as I say that right, as Stronger just goes in, and you see the W. Flame Strike already cast here though, so this W is actually safe. They really need to save Flame Strike specifically for that. Sonya ends up going down during the spin. Really good tongue accuracy from Ahsoka here, and you can see with the Dragon pressuring onto the Shrine, I don't think there's any chance that PSISTORM Gaming doesn't get this at this point. They're up 14, but they're also up that body for the moment. And you can see the confidence they have. Dahaka's already rotating.
I feel like Elheim just exploited the Dragon Queen feature where it resets all your cooldowns when you pop the Dragon Queen. So he popped his Abundance and then popped the Dragon Queen, popped another Abundance immediately. Kel'Thas just could not dish out enough damage to negate that healing. Now the Punisher has been drawn over the wall. It is an Arcane Punisher. PSISTORM is trying to push down this wall, get as much value as they can. They do have about a level XP lead, and just the front wall is going to fall. So, well executed by the TLR there.
And again, with this massive rotation, worth noting, Hisoka was here until a second ago. Or the bottom to actually make sure they got that bottom soak, which is now pressuring in and dying. And then the 4-man rotation top trying to get the kill on the plus ultra. A lot of focus on the offlaner, and you see the vision advantage here. Hisoka is checking this camp, and TLR may well end up getting this. NSJ really
no, it doesn't. Just a walk-up aggro move.
Yeah, I think again, it's one of those things where you're like, my team's they are. It takes a lot more damage than he expected. Ends up going down. Not a great Phoenix game for him so far, being caught out like that multiple times. This is the first time he's died from it, but he came very close to dying before as well.
Yeah, it is riskier to play into a Genji Sonya Karazim, I have to say. It's a little tougher than some of the previous games where you've only been having to deal with some pokey backliners, and when your team is sort of dominating the field, it's easy to, have free reign. But that now TLR is going to move down onto the bottom camp, going to take that uncontested while PSISTORM instead opts to try to soak all 3 lanes. NSJ possibly looking for a gank on the plus ultra, but plus ultra playing safe, knowing Phoenix is missing, knowing something's up.
Yeah, I love this decision too by TLR to bottom to finish off that bottom, using the fact that Monk actually has a reasonable single target damage with the build. They were like, we're going to rotate mid, get the soak, you stay here with the wave in the camp, get that tower, and then join us. You'll be safe because you have your ally up, you can just put it down behind you, dash through if they go on you. And they're just sort of pulling PSISTORM around the map a little bit, trying to get advantages where they can and make it uncertain exactly what they're doing from PSISTORM's perspective, who does not have the God vision that we do as casters.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget that we have the God vision, and it is that these players are operating on limited information. When you're in the game, it's a whole different, ball game. You have to scout, you have to try to communicate where the enemy players are, you post up in bushes, and sometimes we see someone walk into a bush sort of obviously and be ganked, but in all truth, these players are doing the best with what information they actually have available to them.
Oh, this invade is a little late. That was literally a second late. 1 second sooner if he hadn't stopped in the bush to wait for his team, which you should do when you're doing a camp invade. He would have been able to get the spear onto the point and potentially threaten that invade. And Stronger would not have been there in time since he was already bottom, even though they had the potential for the Hawkeye Bruin. So that would have been a very good steal, but it was literally a second too slow. Meanwhile, this fight starting at the bottom lane is going to be huge.
And Iskoa coming right into the back line. Perfect tongue on the free PX, followed up with the isolation. KT super low, and Jeb Tacobitos just having to focus on Iskoa, which allows PSISTORM to focus on Johanna and bring her down. The thing about that invasion failing too is having the top camp here is huge value. It is unfortunate the Shaman himself is taking the tower shots. Don't know how that really happened, but that camp was able to equalize, get a little bit of push. Not really sure how the Shaman ended up suiciding in the towers there. Stronger taking a lot of poke, the Abundance very far forward, but Johanna not yet at the fight. Iskoa and Stronger just trying to push down as many of these minions as they can. The Dragon Queen coming out, Abundance pops. Iskoa is in the front line, taking a lot of damage, ton coming out onto Johanna. Enavir is the focus of a Pyroblast. Actually, Lightbinder coming out of Enavir as the follow-up, and he's gonna move in, dishing out damage onto Fats and to plus Ultra to go for the throat, connecting. 7-sided strike able to not get any work done. And it's gonna go right over to PSISTORM Gaming.
I want to talk about the beauty of the timing of that dragon. Johanna was just coming through the bush from her respawn as it went up. So, they're obviously going to go when Johanna gets here. So, dragon, yeah, when they want to go. If they just back off, that's fine. We'll get the objective for free. So, knowing that timing, how long it takes to ride directly from spawn to that bush and playing around it that precisely is actually, it's just something we don't see outside of top level professional play for the most part. Even the top amateur scene, it's not something we see consistently, but we're seeing it here. These dragon timings have all been based around really specific things about how we want to go in, what the cooldowns available, where are they on the map, and it's so strong. And even this is really nice. The Punisher has to be responded to. They know they can't get the keep off of it. Maybe they get the keep wall, but a fort's worth almost as much experience keep as a full keep wall. This is safer, and it potentially sets them up for a better time on the next objective.
Huge 7-sided coming out on the Stronger, but the Lightbinder was just so perfect follow-up that he was just completely healed to full. Enavir diving in, trying to get some damage onto the back line of TLR, but incredible save by Alexstrasza. And just to talk more to your point there about the Dragon Queen, I was privy to a discussion at Western Clash between some top-level support players, a late-night discussion about supports not being really the playmakers that they need to be in the North American scene, and how supports really need to flesh out their full kits and flesh out their game knowledge and try to exploit little advantages like that. So whether that was even intentional or not from Alexstrasza, it's a beautiful play, and that's a game knowledge play, not really a heads-up play. You saw someone on the map, you just know Johanna's coming in, here we go. And now, sitting at a 2-level advantage, they're just going to go for the slow choke, and I don't see much that TLR can do to turn around outside of a 7-sided blow-up, but Alexstrasza is all over it.
And you see Stronger again with the nice ward here. Notice the timing here. He sees them coming, he decides to back off. He just wants to know where they are, he wants to dismount, and he calls Cap the camp, and he's just out of there. He's not trying to fight here. They will get 16 before the next objective, whereas TLR will not. So this is a point in the game where they're playing around the experience interval of the map. They'll get 16, the enemy team won't. The next objective is free. The only thing they can do is die. If they make any mistakes and end up dying, they get that comeback experience to the enemy team. They're potentially throwing away a guaranteed advantage. They're playing around that incredibly well. Even though we know they want to run it down, they want to be aggressive, they're just not willing to take that risk. And we see TLR actually responding very well here. They are trying to run it down because they know that they're not going to be 16. And we can see them looking for this bush camp, looking for this camp, but they're split. They're not doing it together. And Blessed Shield.
That's so unfortunate. That's the second Blessed Shield that's missed for Bats today. Oh, but a huge Power Blast coming out of Elheim on the back line. Elheim popping the Dragon Wing and some additional cooldowns to top himself off. The Burrow coming out of his goal, but Enavir comes right in and the go for the throw under Johanna, finishing her off convincingly. She was at a high HP. Actually, the EQ go for the throat, really, the burst there was incredible.
And they fail the camp invade, but they do end up trading for a far more important cooldown. At this point, despite the fact that you don't really want to contest a talent 2 down, realistically, TLR will not come back in this game if they don't take this fight. So they can soak as much as they want to, but they need to wait for Blessed Shield to come back up, Seven-Sided to come back up, and then just go in. Looks like they're not going to do that, though. It looks like they are going to opt to clear and push. They're hoping they can get maybe some experience from bottom fort with the Sonya pushing. She does have Wrath up in 4 seconds, and you can see the response here by Side Game. It's like, oh, you're giving us the objective for free. Let's just have one person on the objective, and we're going to 4-man push the lane, get the keep wall down before we even get the objective, and potentially do more. That's another missed Blessed Shield.
This is possibly a situation in which TLR could make a pick, but no, Doc is going to rotate down, and those missed Blessed Shields, I think it possibly just nerves, and really hard to hit a naked Blessed Shield sometimes out in the open, especially if it's obvious that that's what you're going for, maybe a little bit of a sidestep. But is there any way TLR is realistically going to be 16 before this Frozen Punisher comes knocking down their mid-keep wall? I don't think so. Now you're fighting with a talent disadvantage, so they have talent disadvantage before. Now you're fighting with a talent disadvantage into a Punisher as well. Yes, you're going to be able to bait him over the wall, but look at Stronger. He's right there. He's ready to just initiate over that wall immediately, looking for something. Okay, they're going to take the more conservative approach, take down the wall and the actual front gate. Just get as much experience as they can, try to force the fight. They still have the talent advantage. Stronger looking for something, flipping flats over. Skoa coming in. The Punisher falling relatively quickly, but that's a 4-man Frozen coming out. PSISTORM needs to be careful. They are all grouped up. Olivia taking a lot of damage, but the Lifebinder coming out. Skoa also needs to be careful. I believe Burrow is available. Stasis coming out. X-Strike and the Phoenix Heroic as well. Lots of damage coming out. 3 for 0, level 18 to level 15. Wow, Sonya, wait, Johanna falling as well. That's going to be GG. PSISTORM taking it in a convincing but completely different style than game 1.
Yeah, that ended up being a 4 for none. That was the risk. That was the risk of giving that objective. Their best opportunity was to fight a talent 2 down. Dragon wasn't available. Such a high impact heroic, but didn't take it. They made some errors on the defense there that allowed this to happen. PSISTORM, I think, was just trying to do the keep. That was their goal. Their goal was to get the keep and maybe back up, get 20, and do something with that. But because they committed their TLR, put themselves in a position where they could just be overwhelmed. And now that's the set, going over to PSISTORM Gaming 2-0.
Yeah, 2-0, very convincing. I'm looking at the other matches that we had go down. It looks like Scythe Esports is coming in to go against PSISTORM in this semis match that will result from the side of the bracket. And right now, Divination is up over Reborn, 1-0, and the winner of that match will be taking on Necrodancers in the other semi. So I believe we're actually done for tonight in what maybe is a new world record of the fastest night of Open Division ever in the entire world. I'm East Coast. So personally, this is amazing for me. It's not even midnight. We will be back tomorrow night for the third place game. After the 2 semis are played, we will be casting the third place game on this channel. Would you like to do any shoutouts?
I mean, shout out to HeroesHype for inviting me on to cast. Shout out to Blizzard for hosting the HGC and having a venue where up and coming players can sort of prove themselves, work together as a team, show themselves. And we've seen people pulled up from the Open into the actual HGC if they really demonstrate that level of skill. So it's just amazing to have this kind of community and be supported by these organizations, and they help us to make the scene a bigger and better place.
Cool. I just want to, again, all the HeroesHype stuff. If you don't know, we've got, you can subscribe to the channel right here on Twitch. You guys we have a Patreon as well. If you become a supporter of our Patreon, you get access to channels in our Discord. You can talk to all the staff, ask us questions. We are going to be doing a lot more events coming up. We'll be continuing with the Open Division in the possible or into the foreseeable future. Also, HeroesHype has a streamer event coming up this Thursday, in case you don't know, called March of the Violet Crusade. A little bit of a Scarlet Crusade themed event. We'll be playing with some of our featured streamers, Alicia Wins, Kid Kerrigan, Viper's World. Make sure you check that out. That's going to be a blast. I would also like to do a quick shout out to Vyvanse and Dell. Dell on observation, Vyvanse on production tonight. Incredibly good work. Shout out to all the games, HGC, all the people I met at Western Clash. I swear this sentence will end. That's about it for me. I can't think of too much else. Really good play tonight. I can't believe it's over. We actually cast 6 games. I feel like we just got here.
Yeah, we started, for those of you, Pacific Standard Time, 6 first game lobby went up in terms of, like, we actually got into the game, and it's 8:40. So we cast 6 games in 2 hours and 34 minutes.
We got a Butcher in there. We got a Nova in there. We got 2 Annas, and the Butcher and the Nova are on the same team, and they won in 9 minutes on Dragonshire. So overall, I'd say a wild success. Make sure you tune in here tomorrow night. Time to be determined, but if you're watching the semifinal games and want to support your team in the 3rd, 4th place match, go ahead and check us out on the HeroesHype channel. That's going to be it for us tonight. So, yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.